Life is often compared to a journey, a path filled with choices, challenges, and countless distractions. Every day, we wake up and step into a world that constantly demands our attention: work deadlines, endless notifications, social media updates, responsibilities, and 1,000 small things that crowd our minds. And yet, despite doing so much, many of us end the day with a heavy heart, feeling as though we didn't do anything truly meaningful. Why does that happen? The answer lies in a simple, yet profound story known as the jar of life. Imagine for a moment that a professor stands before his class, holding a large, empty glass jar. He places the jar on the table so that everyone can see it clearly. Then, without saying a word, he begins to fill the jar with large rocks, one by one. The rocks clatter as they fall in, soon reaching the brim. He looks up at his students and asks, "Is the jar full?" The class nods. It looks full, but then the professor reaches for a container of small pebbles. He gently pours them into the jar, shaking it slightly. The pebbles slide into the spaces between the rocks, filling the gaps. Now the jar looks even fuller. Again, he asks the students, "Is the jar full?" This time, the class hesitates but still says yes. The professor smiles and then picks up a container of sand. Slowly, he pours the sand into the jar. The grains trickle down, slipping into every tiny space left. The students laugh as they realize what's happening. Surely now the jar is completely full. But just when they think the demonstration is over, the professor takes a cup of water and pours it in. The water seeps into the jar, filling the last remaining spaces. The class bursts into laughter and applause. But then the professor's tone changes. He looks around the room and says, "This jar represents your life. The big rocks are the most important things: your family, your health, your relationships, your dreams, your passions. The pebbles are other things that matter: your job, your studies, your house, your responsibilities. The sand represents all the small stuff: social media, distractions, arguments, temporary pleasures. And the water, those are the extras, the things that add little comfort but aren't necessary for survival." Now here's the lesson: if you don't put the big rocks in first, you'll never fit them in at all. The classroom falls silent as the weight of the lesson sinks in. The truth is simple, yet most of us live our lives backward. We pour in the sand first: the distractions, the endless scrolling, the minor worries, the unimportant tasks. Then we add pebbles: work obligations, chores, responsibilities. By the time we try to fit the big rocks, our loved ones, our health, our dreams, there's no room left. And so we wonder why life feels empty, even though we're constantly busy. Think about your own life for a moment. How often do you find yourself rushing through the day, caught up in tasks that don't truly matter? How often do you spend hours glued to your phone, watching strangers live their lives while ignoring the people sitting right next to you? How many times have you postponed that dream project, that family dinner, or that long overdue conversation because you were too busy? And yet, deep down, you know it isn't the lack of time, it's the lack of priorities. We all get 24 hours in a day. That's the one equal gift given to every human being, whether rich or poor, famous or unknown. The difference lies not in how much time we have, but in how we use it. Some people fill their jars with rocks first, spending time with loved ones, taking care of their health, pursuing their passions, and nurturing their dreams. Others fill theirs with sand, arguments, gossip, meaningless scrolling, shallow achievements. The sad part is that when life reaches its end, most people realize too late that their jar was full of the wrong things. Think of the relationships you cherish. If you don't make time for your family, your parents, your children, your partner, or your friends, what will be left when work is over and the noise fades? Health is another big rock. Many people sacrifice sleep, peace, and well-being for success, only to spend their hard-earned money later on trying to buy back their health. Then there are dreams, the passions that make your heart come alive. How often do we silence them because we're too busy filling our jars with sand? The truth is that life will always try to pull you in 1,000 directions. There will always be emails to answer, bills to pay, meetings to attend, and notifications buzzing on your phone. But none of these things will matter when you're lying on your deathbed. What will matter are the moments you laughed with your loved ones, the times you took care of yourself, the memories you created, and the courage you showed in chasing your dreams. The jar of life teaches us to stop filling our days with noise and start living with intention. If you want to change your life, begin by asking yourself, what are my big rocks? Write them down. For some, it may be spending time with family. For others, it could be health, faith, or pursuing a lifelong dream. Once you know your big rocks, place them first. Plan your days around them. Don't wait for someday, because someday may never come. A wise man once said, "Don't get so busy making a living that you forget to make a life." Busyness is not the same as productivity. A packed schedule doesn't mean a meaningful life. You could spend every second of your day rushing and still feel empty if the things that truly matter are missing. On the other hand, you could live a simple, quiet life, yet feel deeply fulfilled if your jar is filled with the right rocks. Sometimes, it takes a painful wake-up call for us to realize this truth. A health scare reminds us of the importance of our bodies. The loss of a loved one makes us regret not spending more time with them. A failed relationship shows us how much we took someone for granted. But why wait for tragedy to teach us what we already know? The jar of life gives us the wisdom before it's too late. If you want to see real change, start small. Put your phone away during family dinners. Take a walk in the evening instead of scrolling through feeds. Call someone you love today and tell them you appreciate them. Spend an hour working on your dream instead of wasting it on temporary pleasures. These may seem like small steps, but they are the pebbles that make room for your rocks. Over time, they reshape your entire life. The beauty of the jar of life is that it doesn't tell you to abandon the pebbles, sand, or water. They have their place too. Work matters. Responsibilities matter. Even entertainment and relaxation have value. But they should never come before the big rocks. The order matters more than anything else. If the rocks go in first, everything else will fit. But if the sand comes first, you'll lose the most important parts of your life. At the end of the day, you must ask yourself one question: what do I want my jar to be filled with? Do you want to look back with pride, knowing you gave time to your loved ones, your health, and your dreams? Or do you want to look back with regret, realizing you spent your life chasing distractions? The choice is yours, every single day. Life is too short to be wasted on things that don't matter. Don't wait until tomorrow to start prioritizing what truly counts. Remember the jar of life whenever you feel overwhelmed, whenever you find yourself drowning in endless tasks. Take a step back, look at your jar, and decide what to put in first. The moment you do that, everything will begin to change. So today, stop filling your life with noise. Choose your rocks carefully, place them first, because at the end of it all, you'll realize that happiness isn't found in the sand, or the water, or the pebbles. Happiness is found in the big rocks, the people you love, the dreams you pursue, the health you preserve, and the moments you cherish. Fill your jar wisely, and you'll never see your life the same way again. Once upon a time, in a small town, there lived a young boy named Arjun. He was curious, hardworking, and full of dreams, but like many of us, he often felt lost. Every morning he woke up with good intentions, but by the end of the day, he realized most of his time was wasted on unimportant things. He spent hours scrolling on his phone, comparing himself to others, and worrying about small problems that had no meaning in the bigger picture of life. He wanted success, happiness, and peace of mind, but he did not know how to discipline his thoughts or focus his energy. One day, while walking through the town, Arjun noticed an old teacher sitting under a tree, surrounded by a group of students. The teacher was known for his wisdom and had guided many people with his stories. Arjun sat down quietly to listen. The teacher held up a clear glass jar and began to place large stones inside it. He asked the students if the jar was full, and they said yes. Then he added pebbles, which filled the spaces between the stones. Again, he asked if the jar was full. The students agreed, but then he poured sand into the jar, which slipped into the tiniest gaps. Finally, he poured water, and it too found a place. The students laughed, but the teacher spoke with a serious voice. He explained that the jar is like life. The big stones are your family, your health, your dreams, and your most important values. The pebbles are your job, your responsibilities, and daily tasks. The sand is the small distractions, and the water represents unnecessary additions. If you fill your jar with sand first, there will be no room for the rocks. But if you place the rocks first, everything else will still fit. The message was clear: prioritize the important things in life before it is too late. Arjun felt a deep silence within him. For the first time, he realized why he was unhappy. He had been filling his jar with sand. He had been busy all day, but not productive. He had been chasing approval, temporary pleasures, and comparisons, instead of giving time to his family, improving his health, or working on his dreams. That night, he sat in his room and wrote down his big rocks. They were simple: spending time with loved ones, learning every day, improving his health, and chasing his dream of becoming a teacher. He promised himself to focus on these before anything else. From the next morning, Arjun changed his habits. Instead of picking up his phone first thing, he spent a few minutes in silence, reminding himself of his priorities. He began reading short motivational stories in English to improve his skills. He practiced speaking aloud, even if he was alone. At first, it felt strange, but slowly he gained confidence. Whenever negative thoughts tried to distract him, he remembered the jar and asked himself, "Am I putting sand first?" This one question helped him redirect his energy. Life did not change overnight, but step by step, Arjun grew stronger. His English speaking improved because he practiced simple sentences daily. He would say things like, "Today is a good day," or, "I will do my best." He used phrases like, "I believe in myself," and, "Every day I learn something new." These small, basic sentences built his confidence. Slowly, he began telling stories to his friends in English, first short stories, then longer ones. His storytelling skills improved, and with them, his ability to inspire others. People started listening to him. They admired his dedication and clarity. One day, a student in his class asked, "Arjun, how did you change your life?" He smiled and told them the story of the jar, just as the old teacher had told him. He explained that life is about choices, and if you choose wisely, you will never feel empty. He reminded them that success is not about doing everything, but about doing the right things. Arjun's story reminds us all that we need to look at our lives carefully. Are we filling our jars with rocks or with sand? Are we focusing on what truly matters, or are we wasting time on things that do not give us joy or growth? We all have dreams, but dreams without action remain wishes. And action without focus becomes wasted effort. To live a meaningful life, we must practice discipline. Discipline is not punishment, it is the ability to stay true to your priorities. If you want to improve your English, practice every day, even if only for 10 minutes. Speak simple sentences aloud. Repeat phrases until they feel natural. Read motivational stories and try to retell them in your own words. This practice will not only improve your language but also strengthen your mind. If you want to improve your health, take small steps, walk daily, drink more water, sleep on time. If you want to build strong relationships, spend quality time with people, listen to them, and show them love before it is too late. Life will always give you excuses. There will always be distractions, difficulties, and delays. But remember that the jar will not wait. Time keeps moving, whether you use it wisely or waste it. The key is to take control of your jar and choose your rocks with care. Once you start doing this, everything else will find its place. Imagine yourself many years from now, looking back on your life. What will matter most? Will it be the hours you spent scrolling on your phone, or the moments you spent laughing with your family? Will it be the gossip you listened to, or the dream you worked hard to achieve? Will it be the comparisons you made, or the person you became through effort and patience? The answers are clear. The things that matter most are the rocks. Every day, remind yourself to put them first. Write them on a piece of paper. Say them aloud. Practice English by telling your own story of the jar. Use storytelling as a way to learn, grow, and inspire. Speak long sentences, try new words, and don't be afraid of mistakes. Mistakes are pebbles that help fill your jar, but the courage to keep going is the rock. Arjun's journey teaches us that anyone can change. You don't need special talent, you don't need perfect English, you don't need to be born rich. You only need clarity, discipline, and the willingness to put first things first. Once you do that, life opens up in surprising ways. Opportunities appear, people support you, and your confidence grows. So today, take a moment to think about your own jar. What are your big rocks? Who are the people you need to love more? What are the dreams you need to chase? What is the health you need to protect? What skills do you want to practice? Once you know them, don't wait. Start today. Even one small step can change the direction of your life. Remember, success does not come from noise, distractions, or empty busyness. Success comes from focus, consistency, and prioritizing what matters most. Life is short, but it is also full of possibilities. Fill your jar with love, dreams, health, learning, and courage. Then let the pebbles, sand, and water find their own place. If you do this, you will never regret your choices. You will live a life that is not only successful but also meaningful, inspiring, and full of joy.